Bureaucrats, you gotta love hating them. The war on Atoma hasn't finished yet and they came out demanding taxes. But hey, at least that means we get a new class to play with. So ready your forums and get ready to snitch on your neighbors, folks. For today we will be looking at the latest DLC class for Darktide, an arbitrator of the Adeptus Arbites. So before we begin, some things to keep in mind. First, this will be a brief summary, not a detailed analysis. I'm not Reginald or Mr. E or any of those big YouTubers who digs into the code to give you a detailed analysis, okay? I'm just here having fun. 2. This is based on my experience playing as an Arbites from level 1 to level 30. If my advice doesn't work for you, you're free to ignore it. 3. If you notice any missing weapons in this video, chances are they came out after this video went live. I recorded this just days after the Arbites DLC came out, so there's that. Now with all of that out of the way, let's start with the basics of the class.
I am the law!
If you've been following Darktide's development cycle, or you have some interest in the lore, you would know that Arbites is more than just Judge Dreads walking around. Exterminators, subjugators, investigators, each role specialized in one area of expertise, but in Darktide, the best way I can describe the Arbites class is with 2 words: crowd control. Every weapon, grenade, skill, and passives are geared towards controlling and killing human hordes. Heck, I would go so far as to say that the Arbites might just beat the Ogres in that department. And with a Cyber Mastiff, you can mostly ignore long-range shooters. Just point at them and say to your doggo, "Chew," and he's dead. With that being said, there is a glaring weakness with this class: bosses and mini-bosses. Aside from the bolter, there is no real good way to kill them quickly, so keep that in mind when you've got a 4 Arbites team. It will be a slog when a health bar appears at the top of your screen. Skill tree wise, I'm just going to skim through it briefly since there are tons of videos out there on what does what. What I will point out is the difference between this class versus the other vanilla classes. Mainly, the fact that there are 2 sets of keystones instead of 1. The first set, roughly around the middle of the skill tree, is dedicated to your Cyber Mastiff, while the second set, located at the bottom of the tree, is for you specifically. If you stick mostly to the left side of the tree, you basically become a single target killer, with damage bonuses on specials, bosses, and mini-bosses, and heavy buffs for your Cyber Mastiff, since he will be the one doing most of the work. If you stick to the middle of the skill tree, it's mostly shotgun or generally just range focused, with getting in and shooting the heretics in the face being the main MO. It also has a keystone that removes your Cyber Mastiff for some buffs, but why would you do that? And finally, if you stick to the right side, it turns you into a melee-focused riot police, with heavy emphasis on staggering, controlling, and eventually killing hordes. When paired with the right weapons, you will be a tank, able to take a Crusher's overhead smash and still keep fighting. Along with a Cyber Mastiff, this new class also gives us 4 new weapons: 2 melee and 2 guns. The first weapon you can get your hands on as the Arbites class, it is a shock ball, but with a twist. It acts more like a power weapon than a regular shock ball. The light and heavy attacks stacks electricity on the target, and using the special action has you attack with the maul in the powered up state, kinda turning it into a pseudo power weapon since it can go through anything. If the target has these electrical arcs on them, they'll be stunned and will take some damage over time. When compared with the normal shock ball, this does more damage by a wide margin, but the downside is the crowd control clearing combo takes a bit of getting used to. Nothing a bit of practice won't solve, but it is important to keep in mind. Blessing wise, execution is a must since you will be staggering enemies with each hit. For the second blessing, Falter can be a good add-on, but if that's not your cup of tea, you can replace it with High Voltage. I won't lie, this is my favorite weapon to date. The shock ball is just a club that inflicts electricity, but the shield is where the magic's at. The secondary action has you raise the shield to block any and all melee and range attacks, which can help with enemy fire while in a horde. But the special is the star of the show, a frontal AoE stun that staggers any and all foes, with bosses and mini-bosses being the exception. This AoE stun can really help when things get too hectic and you need everybody to stop for a minute. Currently there are 2 marks, the Mark 6 and Mark 11, with the combos being the only difference between them. If possible, get the Mark 11 if you can. The horde clearing combo for it is light, light, block, and repeat. It is easy to remember and use when you are in the thick of things. Blessing wise, Opportunist and High Voltage is good for mopping up chaff quickly, but if you want a more defensive playstyle, Lightning Reflexes and Offensive Defense is your go-to combo. Have you ever been shot at by shotgunners and thought, man, why can't my shotgun do that? Well, Fat Shark has heard your thoughts and brought you the Exterminator shotgun, a battering ram of a gun that can and will sweep the streets of Tertium as you have envisioned. The secondary action has you brace the gun and gives a slight zoom, kinda okay if you need to hit someone far, I guess, but at that point I just tag him and let my dog do the rest. There are 2 marks, each with its own special shell that you can check on the top of the gun. A close range Mark III with a taser shell, and a long range Mark VIII with a shell that inflicts brittleness. It reduces armor effectiveness for a set period. Now, it is a good gun, it clears out hordes and can deal with armor to a certain degree. But there are obvious downsides, one of them being ammo capacity. If you want to be good with this shotgun, you need to make sure your shot kills something when it leaves the barrel. Also, having your Cybermastiff around to deal with long-range shooters will be a good idea. Blessing-wise, full bore and powder burn is what I'm running now for general purpose killing. But if you really want to kill something quickly, swap powder burn for execution. While the shotgun is good, there is a glaring problem of return fire to contend with. But what if I tell you there is a weapon that you can shoot and protect yourself at the same time? Introducing the Shot Pistol and Riot Shield, a perfect combo of offense and defense. If you can't tell from the name, the gun is a revolver chambered in shotgun shells, while the shield is, well, a shield. The secondary action has you aim the gun and shield yourself at the same time, and when your gun is empty, you raise the shield completely. Good to have if you are out of cover and need to return fire immediately. The special has you shove someone with the shield, good for making space if you need it. Now I know what you're thinking. Why would I use this? Why bother with a shield and shot pistol when I have a horde mowing shotgun? Well, to be perfectly honest, I like using this, because I like to reenact this. Okay, jokes aside, I like that unlike other guns where you have to hide and shoot, the shot pistol and shield allows you to be aggressive. You can march up to the shooters and shoot them in the face while their friends are panicking. But with that being said, there are cons if you pack this gun. The first obvious con is the shot pistol. It's short range and only holds 5 rounds. Next is the fact that you don't really have a way to deal with carapace targets. You have to rely entirely on your Mastiff or melee on that front. To combat the cons, I have 2 advice. 1. Get Weathering Fire, Ammo Belt, and Priority Endowment passive to get the best results out of each shot. Next, get any and all reload speed boost perks to maintain your rate of fire. Even with a speed loader, the pause is enough for some melee chaff to get close. Blessing-wise, full bore and pinpoint target is what I'm using now to deal the maximum amount of damage. But if rate of fire is your concern, swap pinpoint target with speed load. Now that we reached the end, it's time for the most important question. Why would you play this class? Well, if you are bored with the vanilla classes like I am, this DLC can be a breath of fresh air. I mean, heck, you don't need to buy the deluxe version, just buy the standard version and just play through it. The cosmetics is not really important. Gameplay wise, being able to bring along a competent NPC really helps freshen up the game. Plus, the fact that you can customize your Mastiff adds another layer of complexity to the combat. And the most important argument of all, you get a dog that you can pet. Come on, who doesn't love that? So thank you all very much for watching this, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Have a good day.